Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Kimberly Blackrincan. Welcome to the Ignite Hub. Welcome to Montgomery College. We're so glad to have you. Today is our Future of Tech Lunch and Learn that we do every month. And the topic this month is workplace transformation, thriving amongst automation and AI-driven changes. So of course, AI is our hot topic in the future of tech. So we're always looking for innovative and creative ways to talk about this topic that we're all faced with and wanting to learn more about. Our guest speaker today is Dr. Tracy Smith Bryant, who's actually here from Montgomery College. We do try to do that every semester. We try to highlight staff, students, faculty who are here at Montgomery College because the Ignite Hub, that's our community. So without further ado, I will introduce our guest speaker. Dr. Tracy Smith Bryant is an accomplished educator, administrator, and advocate who fosters personal and professional growth through innovative programs and initiatives. Holding a PhD in psychology from Howard University, Dr. Smith Bryant combines academic expertise with practical experience to create impactful change in education and leadership. Currently serving as Student Affairs Director at Montgomery College, Dr. Smith Bryant has spearheaded transformative programs, including developing a mentorship initiative that uplifts and empowers students to achieve their full potential. A graduate of the prestigious Leaders Institute of America of the American Association of Women in Community College and Emerging Leaders alum of Leadership Montgomery, Dr. Smith Bryant has honed her ability to lead purposefully, inspire others, and implement sustainable change. Through these experiences, she has gained a deeper understanding of the importance of community engagement, collaboration, and resilience in leadership. So let's give it up for Dr. Smith Bryant. Thank you.
I'm green. Thank you for that warm introduction. I really appreciate that. Like she said, I'm Dr. Tracy Smith Bryant. I am Student Affairs Director here at Montgomery College. I work in the Office of the Senior Vice President for Student Affairs. So I am so happy that you are here today to join me to talk about something that is touching every part of our lives, how we work, how we learn, and how we feel in a world of rapid technology and artificial intelligence. My goal is not to scare us about the future, but to talk honestly about what is changing and, more importantly, how we can still thrive. This is about performance, yes, but it's also about well-being and opportunity. As we go, I invite you to listen for one or two ideas that you can actually use in your life, in your job, at school, at home. You do not need to remember everything. Just look for that one next small step that feels possible for you. Next slide. So I want to name three big pieces of the world that we're living in right now: technology, well-being, and opportunity. Tools are changing faster than our policies, our training, and sometimes our comfort level. Many of us are using artificial intelligence at work or at school, at home, or at least hearing about it, even if we're not quite sure what we're going to do with it yet. When it comes to well-being, surveys of workers across the country show high levels of stress, especially around job security and constant change. People are asking, will I still have a place here? Can I keep up? What happens to my health if this pace never slows down? And there is opportunity. At the same time, new doors are opening. People who learn how to work with these tools, not just fight them, are often able to move into more meaningful and higher value work. So I want to start with a quick pulse check. Just by a show of hands or in your mind, when you hear artificial intelligence at work, do you feel mostly curious, mostly worried, or a mix of both? There is no wrong answer. This is simply about noticing where you are starting from today. Next slide. Now, many of us have heard of the legend of John Henry. He was a railroad worker with incredible strength. And when the steam drill arrived, a new machine that could hammer through a rock, John Henry raced it. He beat the machine, but the effort cost him his life. We often tell that story as a celebration of human strength. But today I want to ask a deeper question. What if the real message about, what if the real message is about how the system failed him? The company's solution to new technology was a contest, man versus machine. No training, no plan for how work would change, no concern for long-time health or well-being. We are in our own steam drill moment with artificial intelligence and increased automation. This question is, will we repeat this pattern? Try it out, outbeat the machine until we burn out? Or will we design a different kind of story? As we move through this talk, I invite you to keep John Henry in the back of your mind as a reminder of what happens when people are left to muscle through. Change, oftentimes alone. Next slide. So let's talk about the workplace and what it feels like right now. Many people are living with competing pressures. Do more with less. Be available all the time. Hit higher targets. And learn new tools on top of everything else. For parents, caregivers, workers, students, that pressure can be even more intense. At the same time, there's a lot of innovation that's happening without clear rules. New tools are rolled out before policies and training catch up. That leaves people wondering, what is okay? What is not okay? Am I allowed to use this tool in this particular way? Or will this be trouble? Will this mean trouble for me? There are also those silent questions we do not always say out loud. Will this tool replace my job? Is it cheating to get help from AI, artificial intelligence? What does it mean about my value if a machine can do what I can do? The core insight here is that this tension grows when change is happening, but people do not feel informed, supported, or heard. Our goal today is to shift from this silent anxiety to an honest conversation and practical tools. Next slide. So before we jump into solutions, it's really important to name what we're actually worried about. When we keep our fears vague, like I'm just stressed, or this feels like it's too much, it's much harder to address them. Common worries should sound like, I do not want to look foolish asking questions, which is often a challenge that we face when automation and AI rolls into your workplace. I am afraid of making a mistake with this new technology because, again, the new technology is introduced without policy and without feedback. So you really don't know how to use it. And How will it be accepted if you fail? I do not want to lose my human connection with students, coworkers, clients, or family. Once we put these concerns into words, we can find our voice. That might mean asking for training, requesting career guidance, or suggesting a small team experiment instead of, silently struggling alone. In a moment, I will share some skills and useful strategies, but I want you to remember this. Your experience and your questions are not a problem to hide. They are valuable information that can help shape how your workplace, your home, your classroom moves through change. Next slide. Now, let us shift from just getting by to thinking what it truly means to thrive in this moment. Now, one way is to frame it from moving from insecurity to the thriving. So insecurity says, I hope I do not get left behind. Thriving says, I am learning, I am adopting, I am contributing to how we move forward. There is a shift in how you think. Research on future leadership and work highlights 3 broad domains of skill that matters in this kind of change, or any change in automation. Your people skills, how we communicate, build trust, manage emotion will always matter. Thinking skills, how we make decisions, solve problems, handle complexity will always matter. Change skills, how we adapt, experiment, and learn new tools, including artificial intelligence. Now, within those domains, there are several specific skills like emotional intelligence, clear communication, and comfort with new tools that show up again and again as essential. Now, why does this matter? Because it tells us that thriving is not just about being the most technical person in the room. It's about growing a balanced set of skills that help us stay steady, thoughtful, and open to learning new things as they shift. Next slide. So there are 3 core skills that help us move through any period of change, including artificial intelligence and automation. The first is emotional intelligence. This is the ability to notice what you're feeling, understand how other people feel, and respond in ways that build trust, not tension. When stress is high, this skill becomes even more important. The second is communication. Saying clearly what you know, clearly what you do not know, and what you need. That includes setting healthy boundaries, asking for clarification, and sharing concerns in a respectful way. And third, adaptability, being willing to experiment, to try like using a new tool in a low risk way, to learn through mistakes, from your mistakes, and to adjust instead of just freezing or shutting down. Let's take a quick reflection check. Which of these 3 feels strongest for you right now? Quiet reflection. Which one of these need more attention? Now, you don't have to share that with anyone. I just want you to notice it for yourself because this awareness is a powerful first step. But here's the key message. You already have some of what you need. This is less about becoming a brand new person and more about strengthening and applying the skills you have been building your entire life. Next slide. Now, let's get practical. How do we apply this at different levels? How do we apply it in our own lives, in our teams? Sometimes people refer to them as families, and across organizations. So at the individual level, it's a simple strategy. So what you want to do is take one small step at a time. For example, once a day, try using an artificial intelligence tool to help with a real task. Planning your weekend, organizing a list, brainstorming ideas. I was sharing with Kim earlier today that I use it to help me decorate, right? You take a picture of your table, for example, and you want to know how to make it look really festive, right? And it reflects your personality. And so you take a picture, you tell AI, what should I do? And then you can just tweak it. That's how you correct it. So this tool allows you to stay in charge. You're not giving up your freedom, your humanity, and who you are to artificial intelligence, right? Because it was going to give you several options. And I didn't like the first few. So you just tell it, okay, so tone this down, bring up this color, add more purple. So at the team level, leaders and colleagues can communicate openly about change. So why are we using this tool? It's a very good question. What is it for? What are the guardrails? And how can people raise concerns safely? And in the workplace, that's one thing that you need to ensure psychological safety. At the organizational level, we can create norms and policies that protect both people and quality, right? Clear guidance on privacy, on what counts as acceptable support, and how to make sure that this technology is actually reducing burnout, not increasing it. The main idea here is that thriving is not a solo project. We each have a role, but none of us should be carrying this role alone. Next slide. So I want to bring this closer to everyday life with a quick, simple activity. So in a moment, I'm going to invite you to turn and share with someone that's near you, at your table, next to you or across. And each person will have about 1 minute. So there are uneven numbers, and I'm going to leave this up to him to decide how to ensure that people have enough time to share. And there are 2 questions. And if you're online, please just pop it into the chat. What is one small step you can take to reduce your stress around technology or artificial intelligence? And then the next question is, what is one small step you can take to increase your opportunity? Maybe by learning something new, asking a question, or trying a tool. Now, after both people share, I'm going to ask you to share one sentence from what you heard, not a speech, just one sentence that stuck with you. Go. Okay.
You want to 1 minute more?
1 minute more.
1 more minute. 10 more seconds. That's time.
All right. Thank you. So this is not a classroom, so I won't, call on victims. What I will ask you to do is, if you want to share at this moment, please raise your hand, and then Eduardo will bring the microphone so that everyone can hear, including those people who have joined online.
Yes. Sunny, and her thing was she used ChatGPT and she really started learning how to dictate to it in order to to give her relax her eyes and not strain her eyes so much.
Okay, that's it.
That's it. That was it.
Thank you, Gary. Anyone else? Who else wants to? Okay, Jen?
Our team here was talking about training just to for sustainability as you learn, not to give up on learning, just if you have pitfalls, but reducing stress, like the GPS system that's been around like since the 90s, embracing it, like how do we get somewhere, point A to point B? So just embracing what we already have to like our prior knowledge to exciting new things like ChatGPT or a tablescape for Thanksgiving or a festive activity. So there's so many ways to like embrace the new apps for AI and embracing our own emotional intelligence. So excited. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wants to share? Cool.
Hi, thank you. Our team was talking a little bit, well, I spoke about the guilt, I guess, with using something like a chat GPT. I know you mentioned a note of like, is it cheating? So sometimes if I use it for work, I don't feel as comfortable because I'm like, well, is it really my work? It's cleaning up too well. We also talked about maybe using it to help with like grammar, things like that. For example, a teammate here mentioned about using it to, if English is a second language, trying to make more formal emails, but then sort of losing her voice within that as well. So it ends up maybe being more work to try to make it sound like you after you used it for a tool to help you. And I think a mention for helping myself with it is maybe using it in more fun ways. You mentioned like helping you to decorate. So seeing it as an asset in that way, learning more about it will help with that apprehension. So.
Thank you. Anyone else or anybody online? Okay, Anthony.
We have a few comments in the chat. Dan said, simply become more aware and informed about AI. Amy said, giving it a try. Was against AI, but decided to give it a try, so it reduced my stress and made things easier. Matter of fact, so easy, my own grandma suggested to use it herself. She also added, and increase opportunities by asking questions always. Evelyn said, continue to take classes and learn about it. Be open to different types of training.
Anyone else? Okay, I would like to share my thoughts on this because I think that to me, when this was posted, I think that for me, it's the same answer to both reduce the stress and to increase the opportunity, which is I need to understand what this thing or things are capable of and what are their limitations. And I don't need to understand, the very technical aspect. I just need to understand what is that they are capable of doing, just like with the steam engine. The steam engine was a very powerful machine that revolutionized the industry, but also had a lot of limitations. So, and where are the opportunities? Because that's going to give me an idea of what the opportunities lie. So I think that it's just a matter of, instead of just trying to close your ears and eyes, is just try to understand what this is that we're facing.
Sharing that, I appreciate that. So I want to close this talk, not the talk, but this conversation, but reminding you that small steps matter. You do not need a perfect plan. Small, concrete actions taken consistently add up over time for real confidence and real change. Just try it out. And if you get introduced to a new tool, you can just ask it, why do I need you? Right? And have it tell you why you need me. So next slide. Let's return to John Henry for a moment and connect his story to ours. The real lesson is not that we should work ourselves to death to prove our worth. The lesson is that resilience is not just simply resistance. Resilience is thoughtful adaptation. And I believe Eduardo addressed that really eloquently with learning more about it, not fearing it, but just learning more about it. What can it do? What are the possibilities? And then when we combine emotional intelligence, clear communication, healthy boundaries, and artificial intelligence fluency, we're not giving into the machine. We are choosing to use technology in a way that protects our humanity and expand our options. Like what you said, what you shared, Nicole, about the fact that she wants to find her voice in there. And oftentimes we find that it takes more time to correct it. So all of the benefits of using it just disappeared because now you're spending time trying to make it sound like you, right? So, but if we ignore this stress, avoid learning, and do not talk about what's happening, we risk repeating John Henry's outcome. People are exhausted, isolated, and left behind while the machine just marches on. Our choice is to write a different story, one where people and technology work together and where care for human beings is built into how we adapt new tools. Next slide. Like in the first version, John Henry fought the machine and he won, but it also cost him his life. When we make the same decision in our workplaces, simply working harder, staying up later, trying to outmuscle constant change, we risk burnout, health problems, broken relationships. So let's try to imagine a different story. Imagine, if you will, John Henry is trained to use the new machine. He is invited to help design how the work will change so it's safer and more sustainable. The company says, we value your experience and we want you to lead this transition. Have you imagined it? That second version is not just a fantasy. It is a picture of what shared leadership around change could look like, where people's knowledge of the work is honored and technology becomes a tool and not a threat. We deserve and we can choose a better story. It's not just simply man versus machine. That is true for organizations. It is true for each of us, that we make choices about how we respond to change. Next slide. Thank you so much for your time and your attention today. My hope is that you leave with at least one concrete next step you can take, whether it's a conversation with a colleague, a small experiment with a new tool, or simply giving yourself permission to rest, which is also important, and to set healthy boundaries, which is also very important. I am Dr. Tracy Smith-Bryant, Student Affairs Director at Montgomery College. Thank you for being here and caring about the future of work and the well-being of people doing that work.
Oh, we'll open the floor now for any questions here from either our in-person attendees. If you are online, please post your questions in the chat and we'll relay them to the speaker. So I want to start with, I guess, two questions. One is, what is your advice for people that it's afraid of technology as it is right now, and now it's this other new thing that it sounds a little ominous and even more advanced. So there's people out there that is already struggling with using the computer as it is, and now is this new thing. It's like, how am I gonna catch up to this? So that's the one. So we can start there, if you may.
Thank you. So I want to poke a little fun at that.
Yeah.
Do you use a washing machine? Do you use a dryer? If you conduct research, do you still use punch cards? So it really is about changing your mindset about the technology. And I will always bring you to the first step. The first step is just to acknowledge it, what your challenges are, and then take baby steps. So you just don't jump into the deep end, right? Kind of wade into it. Right. So I really am a nerd. So one of the examples, because I kind of anticipated that type of question, was, do you remember the Dewey Decimal System? Like, I don't know how old most of the people are, but I used to have to use a Dewey Decimal System, right? And then the card catalog. But now everything is digital. I put in a search word into the library system, and now it spits out all of these options. Whereas if I'm flipping through cards, I mean, I see all those options, right? And you think about like money, the transition that money has gone through, right? To huge coins, you had to have a mule pool. I wasn't around for that one. And then coins and paper dollars, and then, you know, people didn't trust banks when they first opened. You know, they would keep it in their house, like stuffed in mattresses in the walls. But the problem with that, of course, is what if your house burns down? Right? There's always a question about the changes that come up, right? And then credit card, this plastic is going to help me magically buy something at your store. And now they have Bitcoin, right? Electronic currency. There are some people who still, you know, to hear how many people buy gold from Costco, the bars, you know, at least with the bank, if you lose a bar, right, you have the insurance, you can get it back. But there are some people, you know, you drop a bar out of your pocket, that's it. But if someone goes in and they steal a couple of $1,000s, it's insured. You just have to get comfortable with the technology. Baby steps. Wait in. Keep it going.
All right, anyone else? Any other questions here? Okay, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, technology in the labor market and the trends going that way. So as we go more and more into AI, there are some folks who are not going to be able to transition. Are they the left behind?
Thank you.
I think it's best to try to make sure that you can bring them along, and maybe their job actually changes, but they don't get left behind. So there is always some way that you can tweak it. Again, it's really not about being the most technologically savvy person in the room. It is about how can we ensure that we don't take the human beings out of the equation? And how do we ensure that we can continue to preserve humanity without losing ourselves? And so with the John Henry story, that particular tool did not have to replace him. In fact, it didn't replace him because that experience and wisdom that humans have that he had, that's the reason why he won, right? Because the tool just kept drilling forward. But because of his experience, he was able to beat the machine because he knew that if I strike here, that's going to be a difference. The change in the rock, the consistency is different because it's a different color. So if I strike here, I can knock that piece totally out of the way. What the drill did was just keep driving forward. So we have to learn how to adapt. And that's why rather than concentrating on particular skills, try to develop those skills that are transferable, right? What are those skills? Can you bring that slide back up? Emotional intelligence, communication, adaptability. Like, how do you adjust, right? And how do you find yourself there? The tool, and I keep going back to her example, because the tool can't replace you, right? And I think I was trying to think of a movie where you've seen like the twin or the clone comes in, and the people who actually know you know that that is not you. So that part of who we are can't be replaced. And so it needs to be some type of marriage between the two in order to ensure that there's a way that we can all kind of move forward. And yeah, let me see, milking cows, for example. The people who milked cows by hand, once the machine showed up, they lost their jobs. You're going to, again, I don't want to call them casualties, but there are some people who won't be able to transition because that's going to do a better job. And then you don't have to worry about carpal tunnel, for example, repetitive movements. But that particular person could have been trained to use that machine, right? Because the machine may just keep on going, where a person would monitoring the machine would say, this cow has had enough. Let's turn it off, right? But we don't get to hear that side of the story. Kind of like with John Henry's story. I did not do his story justice. And what was going on in society at the time. The fact that ultimately he wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for all the other people. They still lost their jobs. And so I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers, but there is a way that we can adjust for that. And there's some things that I wish, right, when I think about coal miners and what I was taught about Black Death, because all that coal got in their lungs. What if there was a tool that could take care of all of that and be safe, right? And he has another question.
Of course.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that answer. So follow up to that. What's Montgomery College or what can higher education do to help with that transition?
Perfect person to answer that question. Because this hub exists to help people transition. If you were here earlier, they have these career workshops. Now I feel like selling a car. We have these career workshops where they teach people how to adapt, right? For employees of the college, we have classes to help us better craft questions, to understand how we use it. There are policies. I know this thing that happened a few years ago that none of you probably remember, called the pandemic. When instructors had to leave the classroom, like by Friday. Next week, you're teaching only online. So you either adapted, right? Or they found someone who would adapt that new technology. So those changes oftentimes occur. And so what they did was quickly shift to teaching everyone how to use, was it Zoom? And it was a rough start, right? But they taught people how to use it. And now they've perfected the tools and they got it built into the learning management system called Blackboard that we use here. It's all integrated. And so there are those moments in life where you suddenly have to switch because you don't have a choice. But most of the things, they tend to be gradual. And something that Kim shared with me earlier today is like, I think we kind of get, if you are comfortable with technology, we kind of get a glimpse of what's coming. And you can either ignore it or you can try to get ahead of it and think about personally, how am I going to use this for me, for my family? How can I prepare for this, impending change?
Anyone else? Do we have anything online? Then I do have another one. And I remember now, and when I saw this slide, so talking about the emotional intelligence, what is your advice for people that is really scared about this? Because some of the news are scary. And also this is like a train coming at you 100 miles an hour, because you hear about this every day in a lot of different ways. So how do you keep yourself sane or try to keep centered? And how do I filter what I need to know about this?
If you see the train coming, please drop off the tracks. So that's my first advice. Step aside and watch it just go by. That what I believe is it's not exactly like you have to do it, but it's introducing yourself to it. So I will share some personal information. And that is, at one point, I lived to watch the news. I was MSNBC, CNBC. And then one day I was like, you know what? This is not healthy. I feel sad. I feel depressed. I feel challenged. And all of these things are out of my control. So now I just have to make sure that it goes silent. Right. So I take it in bits and pieces. And again, I think that's the small steps that we all have to remember to take. Right. Don't try to drink from the fire hose. You can't do it. Don't try to drink from it, right? Small steps, baby steps, one at a time. And the more you get comfortable with it, one of the things I mentioned earlier is that you have to build confidence. So try it in a low risk way. Like, as I mentioned earlier, right? Try it in a low risk way. Do it with art, redesigning your home, figuring out the weekend. You have 20 family members coming in for the holidays. How are we going to make this work? No one wants to stay in a hotel because they haven't seen each other since forever. I think that's a question for AI. How can we make this work? How much food do I need? How many drinks do I need? And it may even help you not overbuy, right? It may tell you, that's what the tap is for.
Thank you. I think we have a question here.
It's just a comment. Change is inevitable. I hear a lot of fear. Fear cannot work with AI fluency, understanding how it works. Just be open. The fact that you're fearful and you're thinking you're going to lose your job or something else is going to happen, it's not the best approach. As she says, John Henry, if he had just changed his story or changed his mindset, this AI is about mindset change. You have to stop feeling that it's an attack on you? And how do I help this, make sure everybody gets okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
All right. Thank you so much. Can we give another round of applause to? Thank you so much. Thank you for participating at your table talk and engaging in these rich conversations. This has been very enlightening for me as well to hear your remarks and learn more about the story of John Henry and tying it back to we've experienced change before. Here's how we can navigate it this time around as well. A couple of announcements. Well, first, actually, before I move into my announcements, we have a token of appreciation for you. This is for all of our guest speakers that we have that come to the Ignite Hub, to some branded swag. We know that our guest speakers are, first of all, volunteers, so they are giving of their time and talent to this, and then the wonderful remarks that you shared. So thank you so much. Yeah, let's clap. Thank you for coming out today. A few announcements. Online folks, please fill out the survey in the chat. And I know Anthony will be bringing up the QR code in here. For our in-person guests, we have lunch, we have salad, we have sandwiches across the way. And we're headed to December. We still have a few more programs. We have our Fireside Chat career series that's coming up actually on the Monday after Thanksgiving, which is a really exciting topic talking about careers in tech sales. So what does that mean to have a career selling technology? This is something new that we have in the hub. So we have Toby Zellers, who's going to come out and talk about what is this career path and how can you benefit from it. And then our last Future of Tech Lunch and Learn is going to be the future of technology and education, how AI and data will transform learning. And we have Luis Montes, who will be here talking about that. So make sure you're on our newsletter, make sure you sign up and participate with us. We have a few other special events that are happening at the hub, but these are our public ones that are happening. We hope to see you. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving break if you celebrate that, and I will see you in December.